Hey everybody. So today I've got a really cool interview with Angela Langlotz. She's a trademark and business attorney, and she has grown her entire practice using social media. And she's got a really cool strategy that she uses, and I want to share it with everybody. So check out this interview. If you have any questions, answer it in the or ask. If you have any questions, answer them. No, if you have any questions, go ahead, ask them in the comments below. She's got some really good insights on some of the things that are holding a lot of attorneys back from getting started with social media. And I think if you watch her interview, you're going to see that social media doesn't have to be as complicated as everyone wants to make it seem to be. And really the only thing holding you back is yourself. So watch this interview, get inspired to take control of your law firm and your marketing, and hopefully this will get you going on social media. Thanks.
So what's
Hey,
going on with
Andrew.
lawyers? You were saying earlier that there's some interesting things happening with lawyers.
And marketing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm Angela Langlotz. I'm a trademark and business law attorney, and I've been using social media to build my law practice. And I think one of the perceived reasons why lawyers aren't doing social media marketing, excuse me, is because they are afraid of the bar, right? Because, oh, is it advertising? Do I have to comply with the advertising rules? And actually, if you look at most of the advertising rules, this isn't considered attorney advertising. Like I have the right to get on and talk about the law, right? I don't have to ask anybody's permission to talk about the law.
Sure.
And I think too that attorneys are worried that they're going to be perceived as less professional, blah, blah, blah. But, Andrew, I got a secret for you. The less professional we seem, the more we can relate to people, right? Because part of the issue is that we're really intimidating to people. Like we have all this knowledge and, it's like we're God or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm joking about being God, of course, but it's like people think that, we have all this knowledge, and we do, but we're just people too, right? And I just want to connect with people, and I think social media is the best way to do that. And I've been using video to do that really successfully, and I love it, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into character flaws. Nobody, here's the thing. Nobody's perfect, and nobody likes a perfect person either. Like that is the biggest coffee mug I think I've ever seen. But
oh my gosh. You know what I call this? I call this my big ass mug.
Yeah, it is.
For obvious reasons. It's like almost as big as my head. Check it out.
It's huge. That'd be good for me. I drink a lot of coffee, so that'd be convenient. But
well, this is tea, actually.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I don't know if you can see. It's actually tea, because if I drink this much coffee,
sure, I
would be so wired I wouldn't even be able to think.
Yeah. So, but no, but that's interesting though, because you're right. There's the whole, everybody wants to appear to be perfect. And the reality is people relate to people that have the same problems that they do. I have for example, a perfect example. I have a DUI attorney who, I'm not going to go, a client who's a DUI attorney, and she's had a DUI. She's also a family law attorney, and she's been she's been involved with domestic violence things. So she at first was kind of like, I kind of need to keep all this out. And I was like, no, you need to embrace that. You need to say, I was a DUI. I know what you're going through as a DUI attorney, because I made mistakes in college and I've got a DUI also, and different things like that. And just because you're a good DUI doesn't mean you're a bad person. Good people make bad decisions and make mistakes. But it's the same thing with videos. People obsess. And I say this all the time, people obsess with the quality of their video and the quality of their content. And it's analysis paralysis. Basically, they worry so much about it that nothing gets done. And I'm sure you deal with that too, where you just have to kind of let it go sometimes and just know that it's not going to be perfect.
Actually, I embraced the fact, like I never worried about making it perfect.
Yeah.
Ever. And I think part of the reason for that is because I'm just used to doing things that make me uncomfortable. Like, I don't know if this has anything to do with it. So I spend a lot of my time studying different languages, right? And in order to be a good speaker of a language, you have to practice. Right. And I just got really comfortable with the idea a long time ago that I was going to make all kinds of mistakes, right? I was going to make all kinds of mistakes. And if people didn't like it, it's okay. I was still going to talk to them. And if they wanted to laugh and make fun of me, they could, and I didn't care, because the most important thing to me was to communicate, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, the most important thing that I do on social media is I communicate. And I show up, I, say what I know, I say my opinion or whatever, and people like it, right? And if people want to make fun of me, guess what? I don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Let them get on camera.
Haters are usually jealous of what I find.
Oh yeah. Hey, if I have haters, I haven't had any haters yet. I haven't had people troll me yet. If they do, you know what I'm going to say? Hurrah.
Yeah.
I'm important enough to have haters. Apparently.
Exactly. Well, you know what? While you're doing that, if another attorney's gonna give you crap about it or whatever, but they're not putting all that content out there, so they can while they're hating on you, you're taking their clients.
I don't even care, right? If you want to hand me.
What do you do? Like so you use social media. Is social media your primary method to market your legal services? And it is. And you know why? Because no one else is doing it. Exactly.
Right?
It's a completely wide open market.
Yeah. While y'all attorneys are out there paying for advertising, I'm doing it for free on social media.
Yeah. So tell me, what do you do? What's your social media routine?
Okay. So I'm still working on pushing out content to places like LinkedIn and Twitter and, Instagram, because I have a system that does that, but right now the cron on my blog isn't working correctly. So the RSS feed isn't pushing out stuff like it's supposed to, but that's all like minor, right? So what I do is I go live on Facebook every day and I talk about trademark law, right? So that's my primary area of practice, trademark and business law. And people seem to be really into the whole trademark thing. And there's a whole bunch of fun stuff that I get to talk about. So what I do is I go live every day on Facebook, every weekday. Okay, I don't do this on the weekends. I go live every weekday on Facebook and I talk about trademark law. And you might think, well, what do you talk about every day? Well, heck, I get inspiration everywhere. But what I do is I repurpose that live video as content. So that live video and the description that goes along with it, the description becomes a blog post and the video becomes part of the blog post, right? And I can push all of that out to Twitter. I can push it out to LinkedIn. I can push it out to my LinkedIn business page. I can push it out to Instagram. I can push it out, did I already say Twitter? Anyway, the key is to repurpose all of your content. And when you do that, then, it just becomes really easy to produce content. I mean, you're not going to be tweeting every 3 hours. I don't know. The Twitter gods like it when you tweet out a bunch of stuff, like every 3 hours or something. I'm not doing that. It's just too much.
Yeah, it is.
But I am producing content every day, right?
Yeah.
So I'm producing content every weekday and it goes out to people, and my Facebook Lives are watched, some of them literally hundreds of times. People share them. People ask me questions. It's really fun to do the content because I like video and video likes me. So it's something that I've been having a lot of fun with, and it's had a great impact on my law practice.
Let me ask you, when you first started, was it easy, and did you get results right away, or did it take a little bit of time to build, and what was your experience like in the beginning?
Don't hate, but I got clients the first week. Okay.
So you're rare. Because I know in my experience, it took me about 2 months before things really started snowballing. So,
I mean, I expect that more and more people will, find me because I'm producing live video every day and Facebook loves live video.
Yeah. Live is good.
Yeah. And I've had people tell me that they searched for trademark attorney on Facebook and found me. Right. So it's a way for people to find you.
Well, you know what else is great? And you touched on this before, where basically you're repurposing all your content. You're creating one piece of content and you're syndicating it everywhere. But every time you create a piece of content on every platform, that's one more opportunity that somebody can find you. So if they're doing, if you publish it to Instagram, or then you publish it to YouTube or somewhere, and they do some sort of obscure search, and then they get brought into your world because they find a video that you did about some random trademark law that nobody would ever thought of, nobody else creating content on, but now you're talking about so many different things. that you've got all these hooks in the line. You can just catch all these fish, you know? Now let me ask you this. How do you find people? How do you get people to follow you? How do people find out about you? Does it just happen naturally, or what do you do?
Well, I've been an online marketer for about 10 years. So I have a lot of like followers of my personal page in Facebook land. And then I also tell people, listen, if you want me to answer your questions about trademark law, then you need to like my Trademark Doctor page, like my business page, so that you'll be notified when I go live. And you need to comment on my video and ask the question, right? So if you want to ask me a question, that's how to do it, right? And so I'm getting some engagement on my videos, not as much as I would like, but you know, people are starting to engage with my videos and they're watching my videos, more importantly. So I forgot the question, Andy.
It was kind of how are you building your following? Because obviously, if you go live, you're going to see people that are following you. But how are you getting, like, what are you using to get your name out there?
I get a lot of referral marketing, referrals. So
from your lives.
That and from people who know me. So I get tagged in a lot of questions on threads, and so you know, people know me from that.
Right. So is that a result of people you know in the real world, or people that you've come in contact with on Facebook?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. I mean, mostly, I mean, like everybody else, most of my Facebook friends I've never actually met in real life. That's super weird. But you know, that's how it is these days.
Yeah. Now you use a personal page, right? Because I know you have a Trademark Doctor page.
Yep.
And then you also have a personal page. Do you go live at the same time on both pages, or do you?
You can't do that.
Yeah.
Like against the terms of service, but
you can do it with 2 phones.
Yeah, I could do that. But I have a tool that pushes out the pre-recorded video as a right.
Okay.
I mean, I'm complying with the terms of service because I'm saying in the description that it's pre-recorded.
Pre-recorded, yeah.
Right. So everybody knows that it's pre-recorded. I'm not really live.
What do you find is more it gets better results? The live on your personal page or the live on your fan page?
Well, I get a lot more. I have like, you know, 2,000 friends and 2,000 followers on my personal profile. So I get a lot more engagement on the personal profile. Yeah. But I tell people, if you want to ask me questions, you have to do it on the Trademark Doctor page. So I'm trying to generate more engagement on the Trademark Doctor page, my business page. Got it. Okay. So how long have you been an attorney? Oh, dear Lord, I'm dating myself now. I have been an attorney 19 years. 19 years. Okay. And obviously Facebook Live wasn't around 15 years ago. What did you do before that? And how did you get into social media? Well, I got into social media when I divorced my husband. We had a long practice together, and our area of expertise was the firearms industry. And we basically built that by going to trade shows, right? So at one point I was filing 40% of the applications that got filed in Class 13. And Class 13 is basically firearms and other things that blow up, right? So, we built that practice just, you know, going to trade shows and, you know, talking to people in the firearms industry. It was an enthusiasm of both of ours. So don't hate, please. It's politically incorrect. I don't care, whatevs. So that's how we built that practice. But I mean, 0% of that was social media. Yeah. And when I divorced, I gave him the law practice. This was 2012. And social media was like kind of starting to become a thing for businesses. I mean, I kind of wish I had realized and started earlier, but you know, whatever, here I am now, right? Yeah, I know. And I wish I had bought Bitcoin then too. Oh, yeah. But that's another story. So it took me a while to find my way. You know, it just happens when you get divorced and your whole world's like turned upside down. Yeah. And, you know, I really enjoyed being a trademark and business law attorney. And so, you know, that's what I kept doing. I also kind of started a media company and dabbled in some other stuff, but whatever.
Sure.
But teaching is what I really love to do. So I get the opportunity to teach every day on a Facebook Live, right? And people like me. I mean, it helps to be attractive. So, but even if you're not attractive, people will still watch you if you are engaging, right? Sure. And people wouldn't watch me if I produced boring talk, if I was like, yes, in today's episode, we are going to discuss blah, 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 blah. I mean, if I did that, nobody would watch me. So, I mean, you have to put out content that's interesting. You have to be engaging, and you have to talk about stuff that matters to people, right?
Yeah. And the other thing that's interesting is you don't pitch, don't sell things.
Oh God, no, I sell absolutely nothing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the same thing for me.
I do tell them, if you want to know more about trademark law, go to trademarkdoctor.net, because there's
you know what the trick is? Offer to answer questions. Offer like a strategy session. If you've got if you got some IP that you need help with, give me a call. We'll do a strategy session. I'll point you in the right direction. That's really your consultation, but it's not intimidating, and it's offering value. And that's the secret, I think, and I think you'll probably agree with me. Is that the secret? Is that no matter what you do, you cannot go wrong if you provide value. That's what I think a lot of attorneys just don't understand, is they try to make everything perfect. They worry about the lighting. They worry about all this kind of provide value. That's all you need to do. And the nice thing is that, like you said, there's no competition. So I'm sure you don't want, I'm sure this is horrible for business attorneys, but for other attorneys, it's awesome. So what would you say to attorneys that are kind of on the fence about doing this? I tell them all the time they need to do it.
For God's sake, just start doing Facebook Lives. I mean, look, yes, it does take time to do them, but I mean, I can't really show you the setup that I have in here now. I have a desk lamp, okay? This is one of my lights, okay? Like, you think it's all fancy. And I do have an umbrella lamp. Oh, sorry, we're clanking around here. Sorry about that. And I do have here, I'll show you my microphone, a Yeti blue microphone on a boom, right? So if it bothers you to have all this stuff on your desk, you can put it somewhere else. But
you know what? We were talking before. That's a great camera also.
Oh, yeah. This, heck, you can produce all kinds of content with this. I actually have, hold on. I actually got this little doohickey. This is a tripod.
Oh, yeah.
/ selfie stick, right? What a hoot, right? So you can put your phone on this little holder, right? And it will hold your phone, and you can use the camera.
I have one like that too. I love it. It's awesome.
People try to complicate this stuff, but it's really not complicated. And the most important thing is the good sound, because people will put up with a lot of stuff. They will put up with bad lighting. You will not put up with bad sound. So, I mean, I say, listen, just get a USB microphone, right? Like not one of those that, I mean, you can get one that plugs into your phone. Fine. If you're going to use your phone as a camera, lavalier mic, clips on your lapel. They're like $20 at Amazon.
Exactly. Not even.
Yeti Blue that I got is, I think $20. No, I'm sorry. Scratch that. It's like $80 at Amazon. Okay. So it's super cheap. If you can only afford, one thing, get good sound. And as far as lighting,
that, or you know what, or go in a quiet place, because as long you can get away even with the onboard. Like, I just use the onboard. I don't even have a microphone for my iPhone, but I make sure it's quiet so you can hear me. So.
Yeah, you'd be surprised at how much background noise these pick up.
The Android, maybe, the iPhone. But no, $10, get a lav mic,
Yeah, right.
It's $10, then you might have a problem running a law firm in any way.
Yeah. But I mean, most of what stops attorneys is just excuse making, right? Like, oh, I'm not comfortable on camera. Well, guess what? The more you do it, the more comfortable you become. Like, I didn't wake up one morning and say, hey, I think I'm going to be comfortable on camera. No, you get comfortable on camera because you just do it every day. And like anything that you do every day, like the first time you were in a courtroom, attorneys, were you comfortable? Heck no. You felt super awkward. You didn't know what to do. And eventually you found your way, right?
Exactly.
You just kept doing it.
Yep.
Well, this isn't any different, right? It's not any different. And if you don't like the first few videos that you produce, you can delete them later, just redo them, right?
Yeah, it don't cost you anything. It's not like, you know, and that's the thing. If you bring in a film crew and you pay people to film you, you've got to pay every single time. And the first ones are going to suck. And it's not a model that's sustainable. You're not going to hire a film crew to come to your office every day, you know?
And I've coached attorneys on video. I got to tell you, attorneys suck on video. Kind of everybody sucks on video, right?
Yeah.
And they'll do these weird things. It's like, you know, we're trying to crop the scene and they're like pulling faces and rolling their eyes at themselves. It's like, just stop, you know, just pretend like I'm your grandma and talk to me. You know, the camera is a camera. It's not a gun. Nobody's going to die if you look bad on video.
I like that. I'm going to use that.
Yeah, it's not a gun. No one's going to die. Yeah. Maybe you look bad. Who cares? Right?
You know what else is interesting is that what I've found, and now you're unique in that you got clients right away. The first 20 videos you do are going to suck. There's no way around it. It's going to suck. But the good news is that nobody's probably going to see them anyway. You know, so it's kind of like while you're building your following, while you're building your group up, you're getting all the jitters out. And there's very few things in life that you do over and over and over again that you actually get worse at, you know? So it's like, you just get better. It's just naturally. I'm horrible on camera and I just keep going and I've actually gotten better. But, you know, I say, I stutter, I repeat, I lose half of my videos. I forget what I was talking about in the middle of the video, you know?
I've done that.
I'm going to hit reject. I'm not that though, you know?
Right? I've done that. I mean, I did it on our interview. I was like, wait, what was the question again?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just, it's, you know, it's just getting it done. That people have analysis paralysis. They just think about it over and over and over again. And while you're thinking, other people are doing it and they're getting all the clients, you know?
Yeah. And nobody cares. Nobody cares that you're saying, I say, I mean, I don't say it as much as I used to, but I say, I stutter, I stammer over my words. It's
let me ask you this. When you go back, when you're recording a video, cause I do this and tell me if you do this, it's always it's always worse in my head. When I go back and watch it, it's not nearly as bad as it was when when I was recording and I was thinking about it. Do you know what I'm talking about? Does that happen for you?
I don't typically spend a lot of time being self-conscious about what I do on camera.
Yeah.
But when I go back and look at it, I'm like, damn, I'm good.
Well, exactly. That's kind of what I mean. Like I'll go through, and I'm not really self-conscious about it because I'm not going to redo it. But basically, I'll be like, oh, I thought I was stuttering a lot, or I think I missed a point, or I didn't really emphasize a point well enough. And I'll go back and kind of take a look at a couple spots. I'm like, oh no, this is fine. I don't know what I was thinking, because like when I'm doing it, I'm thinking about it, then I'm also thinking, oh man, it's just, you just get self-conscious, you get in your own head. And then once you kind of step back, you realize that, you know, really you're not as bad as you think you are, you know, and honestly, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You know, if it's out there, if you're putting high, again, value, if you put value out there, it doesn't matter if you say, you know, that's what matters.
And it also doesn't matter if you make mistakes, right? Yeah. Like the other day I was recording a video, and when I watched it afterwards, I realized that I said copyright infringement instead of trademark infringement. Mm-hmm. But it kind of was copyright infringement too. So I was like, okay, well, whatever, who cares? Yeah. And I'm not going to go back and fix it because I don't care. And if somebody wants to say, Angela was wrong, she said copyright when she meant trademark, I'm like, and so?
Yeah.
You know, and so?
Yeah, exactly. You're not a robot. You're a person. And
I'm a person. And
I'll call myself out too. I'll be like, oh, I don't know. Like, oh, I just lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
Yeah. What was I saying again? But people do that in real life, right?
Yeah, exactly. You know, I do that all the time. So yeah.
And the whole point of these videos, Andrew, is to communicate and make it look like, which is true, you're a real person, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think people are as intimidated at the thought of hiring me as an attorney after seeing me on video, right?
Yeah.
You know, like
this perception of attorneys that they're stuffy or like ambulance chasers or different things like that. And they're just people that went to law school. You know?
We're just people that went to law school.
Yeah, my you know, a couple of my friends from when I was in college are attorneys now, and I see them being attorneys. I'm like, oh, I remember them from college. I remember some questionable things happening in college, and now they're representing people in a court of law. So.
Yeah, I mean, I want people to, so the videos do a lot of things for me. So it said that people do business with those they know, like, and trust, right? So to me, there is no better medium than video for the know, like, and trust factor, right?
Yeah.
So I want people to know me. I want them to know that I'm an attorney. I want them to know that I can solve particular legal problems for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, maybe they won't like me, and it's okay, because if they don't like me, then we shouldn't be working together. So I'm fine if they don't like me, but if they do, watch what I'm doing and like me, great. Trust. Do they trust me? Do they trust that I know what I'm talking about? Well, it's obvious when you get me on camera and I'm just like, the stream of consciousness about trademark law comes out. It's obvious that I know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's no better medium for attorneys to communicate, to build rapport with potential clients, to exclude those who wouldn't be good clients, okay? Because if you don't like my vibe, hey, that's totally okay. There's another attorney out there that you're gonna like. You don't have to like me, right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like me. I'm gonna put myself out there anyway, because I wanna attract the clients that like me and want to work with me.
You're right. Yeah, no, that's absolutely right. Because if you are yourself and you don't put up a front, like you were saying, there was some choice words that you'll use sometimes.
Right.
If somebody has a problem with that, then you probably don't want to work with them anyway,
Right.
So
it's okay, right?
It's a great way to eliminate people, which makes your life easier. Now you're working with clients that you like, that aren't going to be a huge pain in the ass the entire time, which, that's half the battle for me, is just making sure that my clients aren't a pain in the ass. Because most of my clients, I like all my clients, and I've been able to do that by eliminating the ones that I don't like. So, but like you were saying, the trust, that's a huge thing. Trust is almost even more than if they like you. I mean, liking is very important, but if they trust that you're the person, that you're the authority on trademarks, then maybe they don't like your language, but they know you're the person to handle it for them, And I always say, like, comedians, I always compare it to comedians. A lot of times attorneys will create these videos talking about how, if you need a trademark, I'm the best, I've been blah, 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 I'm the best trademark attorney. But it's like comedians. Comedians will go up there and, like, Jerry Seinfeld doesn't tell you how funny he is. He proves he's funny by going on stage and being funny. You prove you know about trademarks by talking nonstop everything about trademarks, the ins and outs, the nuances of the intellectual property laws and all that kind of stuff. And when someone does that, you don't have to get on there and say, hi, I'm Angela, and you should hire me because I'm really good at trademarks. You don't have to do that. Yeah. You know that,
Yeah. And if you go ahead, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh no, that's all I was saying. I mean, that's what I try. That's the biggest point that I'm trying to tell people, is that you're the authority. And if somebody watches 10 of your videos about trademarks, why are they going to call another attorney about a trademark? You're the one they trust, because they just watched all of your content. So you're the only option. It's like it's so easy. It's just getting over yourself and doing it. That's
the getting over yourself sometimes is the hard part for attorneys. There's a lot of credibility with the video. I mean, we are trained to believe things that we see on the screen, right? Yep. We were trained practically from birth because people are so used to watching television that we accord that a high degree of credibility, right? And you can tell, you can read people's body language. You can tell a lot about them and their personality by watching them on camera. How well do I think that, they know their stuff, whatever. People, I don't have to tell people that I know what I'm talking about. Either they believe that I know what I'm talking about or they don't. And if they don't, I'm not going to try to convince them. Right? It's not
you don't have to prove it.
I do prove it. I do prove it every day when I go on Facebook Live.
Exactly. So, all right. So let's start wrapping up here. I got two more questions for you, and then I'll let you go. I know you have a lot to do today, but what piece of advice today would you, so if you were starting over and say starting social media over again, what piece of advice would you give yourself from today, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Start now. Don't wait, and because here's the thing. You have, as an attorney, you have the opportunity now to, get it on the ground floor,
Yep.
as they say. There are so few attorneys using social media effectively, especially video, because
Mhm.
attorneys are like completely freaked out to get up on and do video. If you're doing video and if you're engaging and if you know what you're talking about, it is a great medium to communicate with your potential clients. So I would say start now, start sooner, right?
Yeah.
Start now.
I think my favorite quote for this particular thing is, a year from today, you'll have wished you started today.
Exactly.
So it's like,
Exactly.
just stop thinking about it and just do it. Okay,
Just
cool.
do it. It's not as bad as you think it's going to be. Like you
Exactly.
think that you're going to look awkward on camera, and maybe you will, who cares, but you'll get better at it over time. Just like you got better at everything. You got better
Exactly.
at
And in the
riding a
beginning, no
bike
one's
and
going to see it
practicing
anyway.
law. Huh? Sorry?
In the beginning, there's a good chance that nobody's going to see it anyway.
Exactly. No one's going to be watching your stuff. Trust me.
Exactly. If you don't like it, you delete it, and it's just your little secret. So, but anyway, all right. Well, listen, Angela, I really appreciate you taking the time. What's your Facebook page so people can check out what you're doing and follow, just kind of follow your journey and see how you use social media effectively?
Sure. So my Facebook business page is trademarkdoctor.net Facebook.com/trademarkdoctor, all one word.
Okay.
You can find me online at trademarkdoctor.net. You can probably find me on other social media channels as well, but it's all going to be the same content because, like I said, I'm repurposing everything.
Mm-hmm. Cool. All right. Awesome. Well, hey, thank you so much. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, likewise. It's been fun, Andy.